754, you're on the air with Crossline Radio. State your name, where you calling from.
Good night. My name is Dre. Online. I'm known as Bible equals mind control.
I'm sorry.
I'm calling from Florida.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
I called in before. I'm not this exact line, but I called in before. Online, I'm known as my name is known as Bible equals mind control.
Oh, okay.
I'm calling from Florida. But I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay. Brooklyn in the house.
Okay. I actually was speaking to one of your brothers earlier on, and he recommended that I call this number.
Okay.
And then I did my research and found out we live online too. So that's very interesting to me.
Okay, so
All right.
you got a question or a comment?
Question.
Yes.
It's gonna take me 45 seconds to get to it, but I'm getting there. Okay. Are you a parent?
Yes.
Okay, great. And God would be our parents, correct? Well, God would be our parent, father.
Right. God is directly, you understand, called God the Father by Christ. You understand? Our Father who art in heaven.
Okay. So there's such things as good parents and there's bad parents. By the way, I'm an atheist. So just to need you to know where I'm going.
Got you.
Okay. So there's good parents and there's bad parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And correct me if I'm wrong, or you could tell me what kind of parent would you be. Would you ever leave your loaded gun on the table for your child to play with?
Not to play with. I would definitely not leave a loaded gun in front of a child. But you know what I would do? I would definitely teach my son gun safety so that this way he would know that it's not a toy and know how to operate it properly as he gets older. But as far as a child who is irresponsible, no, I would keep it locked up.
Well, the child, so your answer would be you would explain to the child the rights and wrongs of the safety that's in the box, the gun. But mainly that revolves if they're immature or not. If they're mature enough, you're saying that you would leave the gun around them if you think they're mature enough?
So if he was of age and he was trained in gun safety and was responsible, yeah, if that was the case, you get what I'm saying? Because he is responsible enough to know how to utilize it and was taught. But there would still be rules and regulations. And based on how he obeys my rules and regulations would depend on if he was punished or rewarded, like any parent does when they set rules.
I shouldn't have told you I'm an atheist. All right, I'll still recover.
You could tell me whatever you want. I'm not you know what I'm saying, I'm not dismissing you. You know what I'm saying? That's your own prerogative.
No. I just I understand your argument to the point of view of where you already started to head. Worry not, I still could hold my own, being that I recognize it. Okay, so here's my point. It would be whether you tried to tell the child or whether you thought the child was mature or not, right? If the child ended up doing it, when I say child, that means like at least under 18, because under 18 you're still responsible for your
child.
A
minor, yeah.
Right. So whether or not you would have believed that this child is mature enough to handle these things, if this child would have done wrong with this gun, you would be held responsible for it, whether you believed this child is responsible or not. The courts won't care. It's you as a parent have allowed this minor to deal with this, and you as a parent will get punished for it. Now, that's just reality things I'm talking about. How I draw that to biblical reasons, It is to my belief that God did the same thing with Adam and Eve. And how would I explain that? I would explain that by saying you created two people who were supposed to be, the first humans on Earth, allegedly. And you create these people, and whatever happens, the serpent speaks to Eve. Eve bites the apple, returns it to Adam. but they were told never to eat from the tree of knowledge, the knowledge of good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you just study the language behind that, just like how you said in your example, you would train your kid on what's right and what's wrong and why they shouldn't be dealing with this. God didn't explain in detail. God just said, look, don't eat of this. But no explanation was given besides, you shall surely die, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what God told them. Then, when they ate of the apple, the serpent said to them, you shall surely not die, but be like God and know what is right from what's wrong. Did the serpent lie? No, they didn't die, unless you want to say they died spiritually, which they didn't die spiritually either, because where do you think Adam and Eve is now? You think they're in heaven or hell? So if you study the language of the Bible, you get
Could you just like could you get to the main point so I could respond to you?
Oh, that was my point. Like and God's a horrible about even give tree access to Adam and Eve to access, and he already knew what. So why would you even put the tree around them if you love them so much, knowing that that's the death of humanity?
So,
and we are your children.
There are, you understand, hazardous things all around us inside the house. And if I was to turn around and tell my child, do not stick anything in the electrical socket, you could die. The child is a child.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to a child in the way that they could explain. Now, here's the thing. See, you want to put so much against God when God was a great father, just like you would be a great father if you told your son not to stick anything in the electrical socket. The problem is we were bad children. Just like the bad.
How we became bad.
I'm going to explain. Just like the bad child who sticks his key, you understand, inside the electrical socket gets shocked. Whereas if he was a good child and obeyed his father, he would not have gotten punishment or hurt in the first place. So God did the right thing. He did tell us, and we should have obeyed him. Just like if the child should have obeyed the father about the electrical socket, and he learned the hard way, because a hard head make for a soft ass. That's just the facts. So instead of you turning around and trying to blame God for our mistakes, he not only gave us the outline, he told us what to do. We decided to disobey. So your gun analogy is really a false equivalent, even in the authority. You know what I'm saying? Because there are levels of authority even to judgment. The Supreme Court, the federal Supreme Court, is higher than the state. You understand? Well, God's judgment is above all of us, and him being a father is for us to even fathom the relationship. So I think instead of you trying to find fault with your father, maybe you should have realized that we were rebellious children and we should have listened. And if we did, we wouldn't have got shocked.
Okay, so we were already born rebellious. If you were supposed to believe in biblically,
no, not
it says man was
it does not say that, and not everybody is born rebellious. Just like you could. Do you have kids? Are you a parent?
Yes, I do. But in the Bible, it literally says
how many
man was born inherently evil.
How many children do you have?
I have one.
Well,
he's 11 years old.
So now, based off of the 11-year-old that you have, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You can tell his character, correct?
Yeah, by observation.
So by observation. Well, guess what? You understand, when it comes down to it, there are some children who are rebellious and there are some children who are obedient. If you had multiple children, you would be able to observe and tell, you understand, the difference between the two. There have been obedient children even inside the Bible. Abraham was obedient. It's why he got the covenant. Christ was obedient. It's why he's king. So there are rebellious children and there are disobedient children, or obedient children and disobedient children. The entire reason as to why we were punished is because from the beginning we turned rebellious, but we had the opportunity to serve God. Because did not God say, let us make man in our image? He did.
So when you say we, you mean Adam represents we. Now, if one of your child does something wrong and you have 5, do you beat all 5 for the one, or do you punish the one?
So
how is it that all
You
of
asked the
humanity now has suffered because of one decision, which is from Eve?
because what happens is, right, you set an example so that this way this would never happen again inside the house. So like let's just use your example. Let's say the oldest son did something wrong. I'm going to not only punish him, but collectively they were all conspiring together in agreement. And now I need to set precedent to make sure that this does not repeat moving forward. So because
But we
hold on,
didn't
hold on.
conspire with Adam.
Hold on. Because if I didn't, then there would be no lesson to learn. If there was no punishment or penalty that came with it, right, and we could just stay in the garden, then we never would have learned anything. From being kicked out of the garden is why we learned what it's like with God and without God. That's the knowledge of good and evil. You know what it's like when you never stick that key in the socket, and you know what it's like when you do get shocked.
Correct.
That's
But that's my whole point. Okay, so my kid doesn't. If my kid was supposed to stick that key in the socket, and he gets shocked, he would have learned not to stick the key into the thing again. But he still lives, or if he died from it, his siblings will learn. Oh shit, my brother or sister died from doing that. Let us not do it.
Yo, and you know,
But my whole point is,
and you know what?
that death is not the final, you know what I'm saying? That's not like the punishment has to equate to the action that was done. Like you told someone, this is what I mean by think about it logically. All they did was eat of something, and what taught them good from wrong. So technically, God wanted you to be a slave. You were never to know. Wait. Let me finish. I will let you say anything.
I'm just letting you know what you said was incorrect. It was a false premise. But go ahead.
Okay, cool. Technically, God will want you to be a slave because you are not to know the knowledge of good and evil. You are just to listen to Him, which would be similar to people on the pulpit that's telling you don't read the Bible, just listen to what I'm saying. And that's technically it. That what's wrong with knowing right from wrong, so you're supposed to know not to do wrong. That's how we learn as humans. We do wrong and we learn not to do it. So why would you ultimately punish with death?
I got you. So let me help you out with this, right? So now, your child, right? If you tell him not to stick anything in the socket, is that because you love him or you hate him?
I love him.
You love him, right? So now you keeping him away from getting shocked, right? Is that you keeping him enslaved, or is that you keeping him protected?
That's me trying to keep him protected.
That's you trying to keep him protected because you know better. Your level of understanding is higher than his, correct?
Correct.
Well, that's the same thing when it comes down to God. He knew better than us when it came down to that. And if we were wise, we wouldn't have disobeyed him. And if your child or my child or anyone's child was wise, they would listen when it comes down to it. I'm not trying to enslave my child by not letting him know about electricity, and I'm trying to keep him out of harm's way. You understand? And if we would listen, we would stay out of harm's way. Even something else that you said, if your brother, the oldest brother, was to die of electrical shock, that would pass down through generations, because every single one of those children would be so scared from what happened because of that penalty.
Traumatized.
They would tell their children to stay away from electric. And as a result, you know what would happen?
Correct.
The warning would continue. And as time goes on, there would be either children who listen or who don't. You understand? And the ones who listen would be wiser. But before this gets redundant, I'm going to move on to another call. All right?
Enjoy. Thank
You
you.
too. Good talking to you.
We calling on everybody. Every Thursday night, we got a radio show called Cross the Line Radio. You can call in and talk about anything you want. We can talk about the virgin birth, immaculate conception, is Jesus God, who we should pray for, is salvation for everyone, can everyone be saved? Listen, all you gotta do is call us up Thursday night, 10 p.m. The number is 917-779-9499. Cross the line if you think you got what it takes.
Hey, yo, check it out. Make sure you go on crossthelineradio.com right now and sign up. It's the only place you're going to get the exclusive content.